It's lingering a bit.
No worries.
And we are live. Welcome to another Super Galactic Saturday. I'm Jerry Sr.
Oh, and I'm Jerry Jr.
I was waiting. I was
Usually you introduce me, but
No,
good
I
morning.
don't. You
Yes,
say
you do.
I'm Jerry. Oh, I do. I say what? It was Jerry Jr. And then you
Yes,
say,
and I say good morning.
"Oh, I'm sorry." Well,
Oh,
I
oh
thought I'd
my
give you a
god!
shot this time. You blew it.
Wow, it's my fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
Well, good
It's
night,
not.
everybody.
It's not
No,
because I'm a forgetful old guy.
well, if you couldn't tell, we're both having a good day.
Yeah, we're definitely having a good day. Today is definitely a good day, a beautiful morning. It's actually feeling more like summer. It's been like kind of gloomy all week here uh, in Southern California, sunny Southern California. And finally today we got a lot of sunshine, no clouds, no overcast. So it was a nice day. It's a nice day so far. So, and like they
Mm.
say, any day above ground is a good day. So today is definitely a good day. So and we are thankful and we're happy that you're able to join us and share your time with us. And yeah, come join the conversation. We're talking about AI. That's been a hot topic this week because of it's been ongoing already. You know, you see it comments on X and Facebook, a few other places where you have your AI. Opponents, who hate it, and like Justine Bateman is one of the people, and I actually follow her. I like her generally. I thought she was great on Family Ties and all that, so I was a fan, and I still
Mm.
am. But she hates AI, so that's where we part ways for sure. So because we agree on a lot of different things, especially like political, we tend to agree, but when it comes to AI, we part ways. So, so she doesn't like it, and she does not embrace it. She hates it, and it's like, okay, well, it is what it is. Um, and to her credit, though, she remains steadfast in that stance. Right, she hasn't wavered at all. And that's kind of contrary to recent events with a certain director um, who I guess the story is he accepted a I guess this sort of uh, residency or something with Amazon and MGM to
You
produce one
talking
of his
about Jorge Gutierrez or George
Gutierrez. Yeah.
Gutierrez?
I was getting to his name. I wanted to go over the story. Yeah,
Oh,
Jorge Gutierrez, and he was excited. It seemed like he was excited about it, and he was looking forward to it despite the fact that he kind of has a history of hating on AI. And I shouldn't say hating, that's a strong word.
does
I
he?
think it's more like expressing caution, right? And pointing out what he perceived to be the sort of detrimental aspects of introducing AI art into the industry, right? And I think, I read one of his posts and they seem, it was like, okay, I understand kind of where he's coming from insofar as like the process itself. Like there's meaningful lessons and experiences that happen in the process of becoming a skilled artist, right? Becoming a skilled animator or writer or director. It's like I mean, basically, he's talking about sort of paying dues, but not just paying dues to, sort of gatekeep. I think this is my perception, but I think he's more or less talking about, um, there's certain experiences that you only have in the process of creating art and trying to become a better artist, right? Trying to get to a certain level of craft and storytelling in general, right? That going through iterations and processes and going through trainings and being an apprentice and working with a team of other artists and working with directors and like this is sort of a pathway. It's not the same for everybody that generally artists and creators go through, and you know that lends itself to certain lessons being learned, an appreciation for the craft, an appreciation for what you're doing, and it gives you discovering the why for you, things like that, right? And so I think, and like I said, I'm kind of reading into his statement, but I think that's kind of where he's coming from, is the meaningfulness that's he sees as being lost, which I can understand that. I can be sympathetic to that. Although, in my mind, I don't think there's a loss. I think there's more of a replacement, right? The meaningfulness in learning, growing, developing as a creator, as an artist, is simply changing, right? Because there was a time where Photoshop didn't exist, right? Um, Unreal Engine did not exist. You know, yeah, there's all these digital
Yeah.
tools that we're using pre AI did not exist, and so the pathway for an artist was very different, right? It was pen to paper and pencil to paper, right? It was sketching and drawing and painting and experimenting with different mediums, like oils and watercolor and et cetera, right? Like that was, and even you can go, if you go back far enough, you can eliminate some of those as well, where it's
I
like
mean,
we didn't have,
if you go back far enough, the same complaints people were making about computer art are the same complaints that people were making about photography versus actual
yeah,
life
right.
painting.
And that's a,
So
yeah,
this conversation about the technology replacing or devaluing artists isn't anything new, and the solution
no,
has
it's
always
not.
just been
It's
to
not. And the question
adapt.
is it valid this time because of the nature of these new tools, right? And I think it's valid. Like I said, the point he made is somewhat valid about, like, well, you're not gonna get your hands dirty with graphite and learn how to sketch and do ink wash and all these things. Discover a certain medium that you might find to be your favorite, right? Like for me, when I did art, I mean, I still do art, but when I was doing traditional art, my favorite was graphite. I love drawing, sketching, and charcoal, right? So those are my choices, and I enjoyed working in that medium the most versus oils or watercolors, right? And but I knew a guy, man, like his watercolor work was bar none, like just the best I've ever seen. Like you would look at a painting he did, and you wouldn't know it's watercolor. That's how good it was. Like you would just go like, how did you do this? Like, it's just so you know, yeah, there's a certain loss. Although I think just on a pure artistic level, that isn't lost. In fact, I think what's going to happen, just as happened with digital tools, is there's a greater appreciation for these traditional mediums because you look back and go, man, yeah. And then what happens? Well, this is what happens. Photoshop and some of these other, you know, uh, uh, apps begin to try and mimic traditional media, right? They try to go, hey guys, here's a new plugin or filter that makes your work look like watercolor, makes it look like ink wash, it makes it look like, right? And in 3D space, look what they're doing in 3D space. They're trying to mimic traditional toon cartoons, right? Like
All
toon
right.
shaped, cell shaded, volumetric drawings, right? And nowadays there's certain properties out there you'll look at and you wouldn't know that it was 3D. You would know that that character is a 3D model. That environment is an immersive 3D environment. You would know it because it looks almost, I mean, like 99.999%, right? Like a cartoon, like it was hand drawn. And why is that? Because there's an appreciation for the traditional medium, right? And the same is happening with AI. With AI, it's relatively easier to get to that point, right? To say I want this '90s style, manga illustrated feel, right? You can do that and you get it, and it's like, but that's kind of the point. Like you're still looking at traditional artistic methods and saying, I want to mimic that artistic method. I want to create in that artistic
So,
method.
so that's the thing. I think the main criticism that I see is that when comparing AI art to uh, I guess traditional art for the sake of the argument. It's like uh, running a race versus driving in a car. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I mean,
And
to
it's
a
like,
degree, to a degree. I mean, it's running a race, and you're running, and the other guy is on roller skates or a scooter, right? Because, and even then, and this is why I reduce it to roller skates or scooter, because it still requires skill, right? Like even a car, to be honest, because you still have to know how to drive. You still have to know how to operate that vehicle. You
right.
follow what I'm saying? Like AI isn't just. It's not like the what is it? Is it the Honda commercials or the Toyota? I don't know. Where they have the
I
easy
don't know.
button. You know,
I don't
they
know.
go easy. They just push it,
I didn't know.
and
I didn't know cars have an easy button now.
no, it's a commercial where they market. It's a car commercial, from what I think,
Oh, gotcha.
and they push an easy button, and whatever their problem is, it just gets fixed right instantly.
Yeah.
They push easy, and it's and I'm saying that's not AI at all. At least at this stage, right? It's not at all. There is no, you know, uh, make me a movie, and it just literally make
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
happening. Make me a award winning blockbuster film, and then it just proceeds to no. You have to input your imagination and your skill set into the AI to get something good. And even then, you have to, for lack of a better term, kind of smack it around, right? With redoing prompts, changing wording. Like there's so many things. Even then, I still like when I do it, I still have to go into Photoshop and work my Photoshop magic, right? Because it's still not 100% perfect. Like it's just,
Hmm.
it will be at some point, I think, but right now it still isn't, right? It still requires, and this is specifically to get what you want. Like if you have a vision and you're trying to create that vision, it's not just going to give you exactly what's in your head. You're going to have
Right.
to go in and still push it, like get it across that finish line yourself, either through an excessive amount of generations, and tweaking and this and that, or if you have the skills, like I have the skills, so I can go, well, I can take this component and this component, and I can go into Photoshop, put it together and tweak it and manipulate it into what I want. And that's basically what I've been doing.
Well, sure.
So
Yeah.
it's like but people have this perception and they like to put it out there that it is the easy button. And it's like, well, it's not. It does make producing artwork, images, even in animation and video easier, right? Because you're eliminating a lot of middlemen, right? And you're getting to the meat and potatoes, like, you know, video concept, fleshing out scene, dialogue, all the back end heavy lifting is done. Now you're expressing it visually, and that's where it becomes a smoother process. But even then, like I said, it's we haven't gotten there yet, and I think it'll be a while before we do. Where it's just like first time out, it's 100% perfect. It's exactly what I
Well, that's
want.
the thing. A lot of people don't want us to get there, and
Well,
because
they
they
don't
think
because
that.
they're afraid they're going to lose somehow. They're going to lose out, and that's not
Well,
necessarily true.
here's the thing, though. It's like you know, it's like yeah, some people will lose. It's like nobody. Once again, with the whole thing about progress and technology and stuff like that, it's like nobody like technology no matter in all job sectors has always replaced jobs, but nobody cried for the horse-drawn carriage guy when we had cars, right? Nobody worried about the guy who had to light the candles out in the streets when we had electric light posts. You know what you want? Nobody's crying over those jobs because of the
Right. Well,
convenience.
yeah, and this is the thing, right? Um, Now you happen to mention the horse-drawn carriage. Yes. Well, now we have driverless cars, right? And you're gonna have a lot of Uber, Lyft, etc. drivers getting upset, like, "Hey, And just even taxi, I mean, the taxi companies didn't like when the whole
Yeah.
rideshare hits the scene. Why? Because it cut into their market, right? They're
Right.
like, oh, well, we're losing money because they're cheaper. They're just people are like, oh, I can just share a car with someone and I pay way less because at least here in LA, in California, just like you're paying a minimum of like it used to be like 12.50. Now I think it's like $15. So regardless of where you're going, at least if you're going to and from the airport, like then that's most of the time, or you're going downtown, you're
Yeah.
paying a minimum of $15 on top of the fare, what the fare eventually is going to be.
Yeah.
So this guy, it's crazy, and it's not the fault necessarily of the taxi driver, right? It's the bureaucracy behind it. It's the fees and taxes and different things.
Right.
But my point is, they came in and they undercut that and said, well, you can get a ride to work for $5 if you're willing to just share a car with one or two other people, right? And that disrupted the market. And now there's all these deals that the taxi companies have made with the cities, and that the rideshare companies have made. And that's why rideshare, the cost has gone up, at least out here. I don't know how it is in other states, but here it's gone up quite a bit because the government came in and regulated and added all these extra things on top. And I think the same is going to happen with AI. We already have Elizabeth Warren calling for taxing AI, which is the most idiotic statement ever uttered by a person. You know, it's like, so you're going to tax AI companies or apps, which they're just going to pass that on to the users. And so now instead of paying $20 a month, you're going to be paying 50, right, or 60.
Right.
Like it's really stupid. It's one thing to say regulation, and they already do that. They're censored and all this kind of stuff. Like you know, um, they're putting in protections, but it's like because there's such a misunderstanding of what it is and what it can do, people are just overreacting and just doing and saying things. And like I said with Gutierrez, it's even more egregious because here's someone who is a traditional you know animator director, and he was looking at this as a way to help other artists, right? Like here he is getting ready to produce something, which means he's going to hire artists and animators and production assistants and whoever else, right, as part of the production. And just because he agreed to leverage AI doesn't mean he wasn't going to hire other artists. Like
Right.
that's the misnomer, right? It's like just because he agreed to make use of certain tools, right, as part of the pipeline to see like, okay, where can we use this? That doesn't mean that someone lost a job or missed an opportunity, right? I mean, he expressed his intention was to elevate other artists. So you don't even know what it would have looked like with him leveraging AI. Insofar as the behind the scenes, the production aspect, he probably would have had the exact same crew he would have without AI.
Yeah.
But now they're given these tools to leverage in relation to their given assignment, right?
Yeah. The other
Yeah,
thing
you
is, I
don't even
think,
know how it would have manifest, and that's what I'm saying. Like the lack of reasoning involved is a big part of the problem, right? And just because they're looking at the gatekeeping aspect,
well,
oh,
the
you can't do
silly
that
the silly
because we
part,
do it this way, you know?
yeah. Well, the silly part is that people think just because you can try to keep, normal people from using AI, that's not going to stop. That's not going to stop people with the power and money, right, from using AI
Yeah.
for
Oh,
whatever
it's
going.
definitely not. Yeah.
You're not going to stop like gatekeeping it from regular people is not going to stop
Listen,
companies and powerful people from
this
using it.
this is
They've already been using it.
yeah, this is the reality
Right?
that I think some of the people who are looking from the outside in as fans and stands and industry guys or whatever, cohorts and peers, this is what they don't get is the unions. they're not going to decree AI for long.
No.
They're just waiting to see how they can capitalize. They're just waiting for a deal that makes sense to them where they can fill their pockets. And that's true for a lot of these companies, large and small, who are looking at this and going, okay, I see what you're doing, Amazon. Let's see how it plays out. They're trying to see what the angle is, right? And I guarantee you, many of the same people, and we just saw it with Gutierrez, right? The same people that will decree and bemoan AI and AI usage will be the ones embracing it not long from now, right? They're going, hey guys, look, I know I said they're not even going to acknowledge that they were against it. They're just going to say, hey guys, look what I did. We're using AI, right? Or they won't say anything. They'll just produce something. The audience will react probably very positively, right? Maybe to make money, a lot of money. And then we'll find out in the midst, like, wait a minute, he used AI for this, right? It's going to be something like that. But you're going to see these same directors and producers that are like, oh, firmly against, they're going to flip around, flip their script, and they're going to embrace it because they're going to go, oh, you mean I can do this and I can do that and I can, oh, it'll save time and or money or right, oh, I don't have to work with that artist that I hated, but he's really good, but I really hate working with him. It's, it's going to be a lot of that too, right? So, that's what's so ironic about the sentiment. It's like, go ahead and keep, like in the Bible, when Jesus appeared to Paul, they said, why do you, he said, why do you kick against the bricks, right? In other words, why are you, kicking against the wall? You're fighting something you can't win. And that's kind of what's happening. What it happened, I saw it happen firsthand with Photoshop and Maya. I mean, when I was years ago when I was teaching Photoshop and Illustrator, and I had people in there that were 5, 10 years older than me, some older, because they were coming back to learn these tools because in their respective jobs they're like, yeah, I see the tide turning, and the companies, they're adapting these tools and these applications, but I don't know how to use them, and then they're hiring new people who do know how to use it, right? And now I'm training them to do my job so they can replace me with this digital tool, right? So they're like, let me learn the tool. That way, whatever happens, I at least have an extra tool under my belt I can use, right? And that was smart, right?
What's
It
so
was.
funny about this is that like a lot of the people trying to criticize Gutierrez, um, I don't know. They all it's like they, especially online, it's like they treat him like he's the devil, and when it's just
Yeah.
he's just trying to keep his job, and it's like
Well, it's not
people
even that.
act like
He's trying to appease his fans, his following, and his peers, and that's really not possible, right? Because he's already, quote unquote, betrayed them, right? Betrayed the faith, so to speak. So him
oh
coming
yeah,
back
I understand that.
for
What I'm saying
repentance,
is him doing the thing in the first place, because it's like you said, is because when I first read about it, like he goes on to explain like even in his apology tweet, he explains that he's trying to introduce artists to
yeah,
the technology and stuff like that, so they
yeah,
could
that's what I'm
keep the
saying. He was
jobs.
trying to go, yeah,
And so it's like obviously he was trying to create that
he,
bridge, but
yeah.
people are too dense and hard headed to care,
Well, yeah,
and they
they're
label him
afraid.
as they label him as this evil person because
Yeah,
he's trying to use AI, and it's like, listen, you being against AI, it's like you're not taking this moral high ground. All right, it's like
yeah,
it's
it's because
not.
it's not based on ethics and morals and like at first it was, oh, it's theft, they stole. It's like, no, not really, they didn't do that,
Where's the
and
thing? It's like everything is.
now it's like they're going to take our jobs, and it's like, well, not necessarily. Like people getting laid off right now in the industry is has nothing to do with AI. That's the hard truth. It has zero to. It has to do with the fact that unions ask too much, just like you saw it in the automotive industry with GM,
Yeah.
right? and they had to get bailed out and all this stuff, right? Because the unions constantly ask for more, but then the companies themselves are not profitable enough to sustain it. And that's what's been going on in the last couple of decades with these production companies is they're producing slop, right? We saw it with the MCU, we saw it with Star Wars, we saw it with Indiana Jones, we saw it with a lot of different properties, right? Madam Web and all, right? A lot of
Yeah.
this stuff is terrible and they don't make money, right? Then on the flip side, you have unions saying, "Oh, you got to pay animators more money. You got to pay production crew more money. You got to, they need more benefits. They need, and maybe they do. I'm not saying that they don't, but
Right, but they
like,
can't pay
but
them more
neither,
if the stuff isn't successful.
yeah, neither side is sustainable, right? So the executives are going, I could probably save 50, 60% in production costs by adapting this new technology, right? And guess what's happening? And this is something that isn't said. If you follow the right people, you'll see there's an explosion of companies, marketing companies, ad agencies, obviously the AI app companies themselves, and small production companies, large, they're all hiring knowledgeable and skilled AI producers, and there's a shortage. There's not enough to go around. So think about that. There's a whole new industry now that's saying we need guys that can create social media ads, content, music videos, advertisements. Using leveraging AI. Right. We need someone to come and build agents and systems, or we need. And there's a dearth. It's like there's a lot of guys out there doing it, but there's not enough. There's more work than there is people to do the work. Then on the flip side, you have the animation industry where there's just too many people who want to be animators and not enough work to go around.
Yeah.
But those same people don't want to adapt the new technology for themselves because in this other side, there's plenty of work. Isn't that crazy? But because they're stuck on, I want my safe, comfy union job, and I want right. It's like okay, but you're leaving money on the table, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to adapt to a new technology that has no ethical issues, right? Like the ethics is because of the people that use it, right? An art thief is an art thief is an art thief, whether he's using Photoshop and a scanner or a camera and taking pictures, you understand what I mean? Or
Yeah.
he's using AI. Like either way, he's an art like that's not gonna go away, right? What I mean? Like it's not. But the technology itself isn't theft; it's a tool.
On
And if
top
you
of
use
that, the
technology
whole thing about
to use
theft. What's the thing? The whole thing about quote unquote theft is like, oh, AI is using other people's art without permission to create stuff. Is like, yeah, people have been doing that for years. Did Capcom
yes,
ask permission from Fist of the North Star and a bunch of other
right.
anime when they created
Metal
their
Shroud,
Street Fighter
right?
characters?
Mm-hmm.
Because half of the Street Fighter cast is Fist of the North Star references.
Right.
Did Miyamoto ask permission from was it MGM when he created Donkey Kong, or did he ask permission from Paramount to use Popeye as an inspiration for Mario? Because Popeye is the inspiration for Mario and Donkey
Right.
Kong. He didn't
Yes.
ask permission.
Right.
Freaking,
And
it's
you
like
and you, and you can't
One
patent the stuff.
Piece. Ironic, the Great Pirate era.
Oh
Half of the
God, yes.
cast in One Piece, their designs are based off of based off of real actors, mostly Japanese actors.
Yeah.
Did Oda ask permission for those actors to use their
No, of
likeness?
course not.
No. So it's like artists
Yeah.
have always it's like so the AI, the computer is doing the thing that artists have always done for years.
Right. It's just
There's no
doing it
issue.
faster. And like I
Yeah,
said, the issue has never been this ethical or moral, oh, it's theft. No, the issue has always been, oh my God, I'm going to be replaced. That's been the issue, is that perception that and to some degree, certain positions will be replaced, will be, that happened with the introduction of digital fonts, that happened
yeah,
with the introduction of desktop publishing and, Photoshop, and, like I said, Unreal Engine, like you go on, right? Technology does that. It replaces, right, unnecessary and unneeded positions because it makes it more efficient, makes things more efficient, right? But the people that lose that position, if they adapt, like I said, I taught people Photoshop and Illustrator. Why? Because they're already working in a particular industry, creating art, generally in a traditional way, and they realize, oh, I got to leverage these new tools so I can keep my job or find a better job, right? And that's what they did. They learned the new tools and they went on to keep their jobs or find better jobs, right? I know a woman took my class. She was a housewife, so she wasn't in the industry. She was just a housewife, working, but her kids were older. So she was like, I always wanted to start this crafts business, or whatever, right? And do like these, what do you call those? Memory books you know, and I was like, oh, okay. And so she wanted to learn Photoshop so she can create the different designs, layout and all this kind of stuff. And I taught her that, and I taught her Cork Express for the layout part, right? She started a business. You understand? Like people started businesses purely because a computer existed, and B, software on that computer existed that allowed them to create artistic things, right? I know someone I worked for. He started an empire practically, right? Based off the Mac and one program, right? And he created this, you know, was it Fortune, I think 100 company, right? Because of the Mac and a piece of graphic software. Literally, you understand? Like it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about that, right? An entire new industry was created because this technology exists, and that's going to happen with AI as well, right?
I just want to
Entirely
point
new
out,
industries will exist that we haven't even
yeah,
thought of yet.
I just want to point out Mecha Missionary's comment. To add to the previous point, One Piece laughing gimmick is from Kinnikuman. You know
Uh,
how every One Piece
yeah, that's
character
right.
has their own unique laugh. So that
Yeah,
came
yeah,
from
that's
Kinniku.
right.
You remember the Ultimate Muscle thing we
Yeah, it's
watched?
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
So yeah, that came from Kinnikuman. So it's like artists have been taken from each other without permission
For a
for
long time,
literally forever. it's
way
it's not
before AI. Yeah,
anything
way
new.
before AI. Exactly. So it's a tired argument. It's like I say, it was never really about that. It was always about the fear of being replaced. And it's the same old song all over again. I've seen it several times in my lifetime, and it's amazing that I'm seeing it again, just because, man, like the fact that AI exists the way it does now. I'm like, wow, I didn't think I would really be around to see it like, on this level. So it's kind of fascinating. But yeah, and so with Gutierrez, um, I kind of feel bad for him, you know, because one thing I hadn't thought about was not just the pressure from his peers and fans, but there's been implications that it got pretty bad. Like maybe there were threats made against him or his family, um, and that really sucks. That's really messed up. So I don't hold it against them for switching gears, you know, because I don't know what was said or done to him, in reality. You know what I mean? Like he's probably not going to say what happened or what was said to him, but he's figured, well, let me capitulate so that I can kind of minimize this or get through this, right? So,
I mean,
more power to him.
it's kind of too late. I mean, honestly, it's like these people will
Well, no, I'm
always
not
insult
saying
you
it's
online and never to your face. So I don't
yeah,
think
I'm
he
not
should
I'm
have
not saying
backed
it's going to fix it. What I'm talking about is we don't know if he's been like physically threatened. Do you understand? That's what I'm
I
talking
mean,
about.
yeah,
Like there's not
that's true.
crazy people out there who maybe they were maybe doxing him or you understand? Like we don't know what he's experienced on his end that prompted him to go, okay, let me like, you know, put a nail in this and be done. Like, okay, guys, I'm not gonna do it, right? Why? Because it's getting out of hand. You follow what I'm saying? That's the point I'm making. Despite his actual statements, I'm saying it's probably far more serious than we realize. It's not just him, like some were saying, oh, he's a coward. No, it's like, yeah, but you don't know what he's experienced that led him to make this choice. It's probably not just, peer pressure. It could be something more. that's all I'm saying. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of a doubt that it's not just pure cowardness. It's probably like, okay, this is getting real. Like people are making threats, and I need to like nip this in the bud. You know, and unfortunately, that does happen to people. Uh, with this online nonsense, is that people go too far. You know, and it really sucks. It's frustrating, and I think people that do that, they're scum. Like you don't just threaten people because they're using a tool you don't like. It's like getting mad at a contractor because he used a hammer. Like that's not the
Mm.
right hammer. Like, what are you talking about? It's dumb. So it's foolishness. And so I wish him all the best. Hopefully, maybe in the future he'll return to back to it on his own terms. Maybe through his own production company or something. Or because I think it'll be great. There's an opportunity there with someone like him to. He was willing to teach others. And if
Yeah.
he's willing to figure out a pipeline, where the artistic inspiration and integrity of a project is maintained while still leveraging these powerful tools, that's a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
Where he can bring in new artists and they're still learning the fundamentals, the fundamental principles, but then at the same time they get to graduate into leveraging AI tools, right? In the pipeline. Like there's probably a happy medium, I'm sure. But you can't get there if all you're doing is just flat out rejecting it. And then you're condemning others who embrace it.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, it's this whole backlash is going to be a self fulfilling prophecy because the way people are
Yeah.
reacting to AI tools is just going to encourage more people to use
Yeah.
AI. Because
Yeah.
as
Because
someone who's
yeah.
worked with different artists and stuff like that, and I've been lucky enough to say that most of the majority of the artists that I've worked with on projects
Mm.
were
Yeah.
great and really helpful. But that wasn't the case in the beginning. I remember in high school when um, I was first making video games. I hired a guy to make music for me and like original music for the game. And
Hmm.
all he did was rip off other songs and make a chiptune version, 8-bit versions of them. So like I had people commenting on my trailer like, "Hey, isn't this from Call of Duty?" I'm like, "It's not supposed to be," And then and then the final straw was I had it's the same person, by the way. I had him switch. Uh, I put him on like pixel art duty, so I had him like create
Mm.
graphics for the game while I was focusing on the coding. And he basically took a existing video game character and then like Dad, imagine if someone took Mario, put him in blackface, and said, "Here's my original character."
Well,
That's what he tried to do with Rocket Brown. It wasn't Mario specifically, but it was like a Mario type platformer. And I'm like, dude, you realize I had
like, yeah, you're not doing anything here.
yeah,
You're
like,
just,
but it's like you
yeah,
realize I have a set. I know I played Kid Chameleon. This is not what I want. It's like no, this is my original. I'm like, so I just
like,
cut
no,
away.
it's,
But there's a lot of people like the reality is that
and this is before
artists are
AI.
human and humans, yeah. But the reality is that artists are still human and humans are no more reliable than
Yeah,
computers.
that's what I'm saying. There's AI slop and there's human slop.
Yeah, and there's still there's slop of everything. We
Yeah,
mentioned
exactly.
movies, but like think about all the mobile game ads that are out there that are just a bunch of gross fart jokes and
Yeah,
Team Fortress characters twerking or whatever. None of that is AI. That's all just people stealing 3D
yeah,
models and doing stupid
yeah,
stuff with them.
exactly.
There's
Yeah.
slop of everything.
That's
You know,
right. So, well, like I said, I mean, that's it was never about the slop. It was never. It's always about gatekeeping and protecting. In their minds, protecting their position, where whatever it is, protecting their industry from these invaders and outsiders who didn't go the traditional route, right? Who said, I'm going to embrace it. And many of them are animators. Many of them are guys who've worked on major animation projects, anime, etc. And they're embracing AI. They're out there. They're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make my movie. I'm going to make my show. And I'm like, more power to them, man. Like, of all the people that can capitalize off of this new technology, these new tools, are existing artists and animators, especially animators, because they have the fundamentals, they have the foundation, right? So they can take it and soar. Like, if a mediocre person or a okay artist can take it and do something great, then an excellent artist, an excellent animator, right, can make something amazing, right? Because they have a knowledge and a skill set and experience that others don't have, right? So you automatically have an advantage if you're willing to leverage that advantage. But nobody's saying that. Like, nobody wants to talk. I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's like I'm a web designer, I'm a graphic designer. I've learned some animation. And I'm like, I know and understand like art and different things. So I'm like, man, this is a game changer, right? Like, because I can build, I can, like, to me, it's like, what's that scene in a Hoodwinked, right, when he gave the squirrel the coffee. Yeah. What I mean? It's like you're giving the
What
squirrel coffee,
have I
right? Like,
done?
you're like, I don't
He
know.
said,
The
I don't drink
potential
coffee.
is amazing,
Yeah.
and you don't even need a huge team to achieve what it takes Hollywood to spend. Even with AI, Hollywood in general, they're going to end up spending billions of dollars, right? They're still going to overspend. Why? Because big part of it is money laundering anyway, right? So they're going to find an excuse to spend millions of dollars on something that shouldn't take millions of dollars, right? They're going to figure out a way. But as individual creators and indie creators and small teams, man, you're nimble, you're quick, you're sharp, and you're extremely talented. You can go out there and make the next Lord of the Rings in your garage or basement or whatever, right? With a small team of guys who are just passionate about that particular project, right? Like, you can do that. They're already doing it with Star Wars, right? There's guys on YouTube making Star Wars episodes using AI, and they're awesome.
Oh yeah,
they're,
I saw one of
they're
those. It
beautiful.
was actually really good.
Yeah, they're really good. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, the age of like this very narrow funnel into Hollywood to produce something has been busted wide open. It's gone. It's completely gone. And that's the sad reality of a lot of people. And that's why this backlash is so meaningful. Because this is sort of a tipping point. This is like, okay, like, seeing how people treated him and how they're reacting to people who are pro AI, and and a lot of people are very rude. They're insulting people. They're not having a respectful conversation. You know, um, yeah, it's you're showing the world where you are. You're baring your teeth, right? And you're
Yeah.
showing that you're really a wolf and not a fox, right? And um, it's going to take a toll, and it's probably going to change a lot of minds towards AI, and cause a lot of people to go, oh, maybe it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of overreacting here, right? And like, this guy gave up a huge opportunity all because of hurt feelings, not because of anything tangible or real, right? Not because it's causing some kind of environmental damage, data centers. That's all nonsense, right? Your Chat GPT is not running on a huge data center in, like, that's not exactly how it works, right? Like, so it's like we need to stop that foolishness. But that's, I think a lot of people, and then in general, just I think general audiences, when it comes to entertainment, do they care if you used Maya or Unreal Engine or Photoshop or an AI app? Probably not. I mean, I think as a kid, Like when I was a kid and I watched my favorite cartoons, it
I
never
mean,
occurred to me,
you're not thinking about what
oh,
tools they use. They
they
just
used cells and markers and paints. No, I was like, oh, that looks amazing.
yeah.
That's awesome, right? And then I just tried to draw it myself like that. Yeah, you understand? That's all it is. Like, you're not thinking about, oh my God, they used AI. I can't watch this. So, yeah, that's just not how it works. It's not how
The only
entertainment.
the only time people think about the the actual technology or the medium behind it is if it's bad, right? Like
Yeah,
you only really think about, oh, this that's CGI because it
yeah.
looks
When it
because it
breaks,
looks
yeah,
bad. Yeah, when it breaks,
when it
essentially.
breaks, that's when you're like,
So it's
oh, so
gonna take.
those are after effects. Yeah, that's
So the
exactly right.
reality is that it's gonna take something like really outstanding to really change people's perspective on it, because that's all it really is. Because
Yeah,
people's
it's gonna
perspective
be
on 3D and computer graphics were pretty mixed back in the 90s until Toy
yeah,
Story came
exactly.
out.
Until Toy
Toy
Story,
Story
that's exactly
changed
right.
everybody's perspective. And
Yep.
even that
And
wasn't
even then,
perfect. It was close to perfect that people like didn't have any issues with it because it just looks so
yeah,
good.
well, right, because the general audience didn't care. They saw a story.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, talking
exactly.
toys. Oh, that's Tom Hanks. Oh, I like Tom Hanks. I mean, you understand? That's all it was. Like, oh, that's a Buzz Aldrin, right? That's like that's clever. Oh, what's the story about? Let's check it out. Oh, the kids will love it. That's it. That's it. There wasn't. Oh, they used Maya and they had this CGI pipeline developed. Like they didn't care. John Lasseter started with Pixar. Like they don't care. They only
Yeah,
care after the fact,
yeah,
not before. You reveal that stuff to build up more excitement and interest, right? But the reality is that the audiences don't care. They care about, does it move me? Does it entertain me? Was it fun? Did it inspire me? Was it aspirational? How did it make me feel? Right? Was it awesome? Did that look cool? Right? Like
yeah.
that's it. that's that's like you read a book, you're reading the story in the book. You're not going, this cover is made with 80-pound stock. You're like, you don't care. You're just reading the book.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's kind of how it is with right now with AI. Is at the end of the day, it's still a craft. You still, like I said, you still have to figure out, like, it's not as simple as people think.
No.
It's accessible, but it's not simple, right? Um, but you got to make something that makes people go wow or cool or hey, like that's interesting, and pulls them in, just like you had to do before AI. Right? A lot of people thought just knowing 3D and how to make 3D models was enough. You're like, oh, I know how to build a 3D model. Great. So what? Do you know how to work in a pipeline? Do you know how to make that model, rig correctly so it animates smoothly? And do you know how to light the model properly, right? For a cinematic experience, And
Yeah,
is there a
it's
story,
yeah.
right? I mean, you understand, like there's so many components that it's like just knowing that one thing isn't enough. It's like with AI, it's like just knowing how to write a
Right.
prompt in
It's like just
chat
because
it's
you
not
can
enough.
make funny memes in Photoshop doesn't mean you can
Yeah, exactly.
edit for a magazine or something, right? So
Yeah, it's but having design sense and having experience with design allows you to leverage AI to produce something for a high end magazine or or an agency, right? You see what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
you have those sensibility, you have the fundamentals down, right? That's what I'm saying. That the artists, they're looking at it their own. I think that there are many who do see it the right way, and like I said, they're capitalizing off it. But the naysayers out there, they're stuck in, like you mentioned earlier, they're stubborn because they're afraid to lose. They're afraid to get out of their comfort zone. That's really what it boils down to. I don't want to lose my, I've curated this network, and I can know I can get a job here or there because I know this guy here and I know that guy there, and this is disrupting it, right?
I
And I
think
know my experience, and you know,
Yeah.
It's threatening that, and it's like AI isn't really threatening that. The economy is threatening, right?
Yeah.
Like these companies aren't making the money they need to make to sustain employing you, and
Yeah.
that's why you get laid off. You're not getting laid off because AI. It's really just a matter of timing. It's the fact that AI is more available and accessible, that there is an alternative to say, oh, but it's like it's not. It's like I saw someone post about I think it was Microsoft, and how they were like, oh, they found AI wasn't very productive. But the way they phrased it was they gave everyone in the company in their dev department an AI account, and I said, oh, yeah, that sounds stupid. I said, why? Right? It's like you have a construction crew and you give everybody a hammer and tell them use this hammer to build this house. But it's like, yeah, but
Not
I do
everybody's
drywall. I don't. I
tool.
don't need a hammer. You understand? I do plaster. I do flooring. You follow what I'm saying? Like you can't just give everybody the same tool and say go to town, right? What you
Right.
do is you find, and I mentioned this when I replied. I'm like, you get your best guys who specialize in certain areas, and you give them access, and you say, hey, let's come up with a system. Let's figure out our weak points. Except like you have a strategy. Then you leverage AI to flesh out the strategy,
Right.
right? And maybe to build certain tools, things like. But you follow what I'm saying? Like it isn't just you get an AI and you get an AI. It's not Oprah Winfrey. So if they were doing that, they're dumb.
Yeah.
You understand? Like that's not how it works. That's why you're less productive because you're just giving people AI and you're not giving them direction. So what are they gonna? Well, hey, fix this script right here. Okay, fixed. It's like you could have done that. You already know how to do it. Right? You're telling it to use AI for something they already know how to do. It makes no
Yeah. Pretty
sense.
much.
Then most of them are probably going, "Well, I'm building my own thing," and I bet that's what was going on too. They were building their own stuff, making money on the side. Who knows, right? But you understand? It's like if you're not leveraging it properly, then yeah, it's pointless. Like you're not going to see productivity because you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Right? It's like getting in a car and you're going, "Where are we going?" I don't know. You just start driving. Well, you're
Yeah.
moving and you're moving fast. Thank God for roads. But where are you going? You're going to run out of gas at some point, right? You understand?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
They
you have a
didn't
plan.
have a plan. Yeah.
Think, where am I going? So, so it's not about AI. It's not a magic bullet. You know, it's like I said. It's like they use the same reasoning that they use for gun laws. We got to stop guns. We have to ban guns. Gun crime, gun deaths, gun. Like there's guns with little legs and hands walking around, shooting people. These
Well,
guns are alive, right? It's Frankenstein. But it's like, no, the problem with guns are the people, right? Just like drunk driving has nothing to do with liquor. It has to do with the person that drinks, right? They chose to drink, then they choose to drive. They're a terrible person, right?
yeah.
So shame people for doing it. Change the culture around it, right? You understand? Don't blame the thing, blame the behavior. So if someone's using AI and they're doing like deep fakes and they're like doing inappropriate things with it, shame those people, right? Tell them to stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop that. Don't do that, right? Don't be a
Yeah.
creep. Like, that's what you do. You create a culture around it, right? And you say, this is acceptable, this is unacceptable, right?
I think
This is how
ultimately,
you do
because there's not much. I, the, I don't have much to say except to give a shout out to the real once again to the real fake wizard because he brought up the perfect analogy for this
I love
guy.
that guy. I've been watching
I,
his
I've
videos.
been saying that for years, but he
He's
brought
funny.
up the Willy Wonka or the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie,
Yeah.
and there's a scene, the one with Johnny Depp, and it's the scene where Charlie's dad gets replaced by the automatic uh, cap dispenser robot at the toothpaste factory. But then by
Yeah.
the end of the movie, Charlie's dad learns how to fix the the robot that replaced him. Right.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like
Yes.
that's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, nail meathead, right? Pop. That's it, right? He adapted. He
Yeah.
said, "Well, I can't do the thing, but I can fix the thing that does the thing." Right? It's like going back, to what was it, 2020? There was a meme about learn to code, right? Telling people who were getting laid off from these cushy jobs, right? Learn to code, and it's like, well, there's truth to that. It's not about specifically code, obviously, but adapt, learn the skills you need to learn to continue to move forward. And that,
Well,
like for me, years ago, I started off as a graphic designer, right? And I was trying to find jobs as intro, junior designer, all this kind of stuff, right? Did internships and all this kind of. And for a while, it was great. I was making a living, but eventually it dried up, and I got laid off from the company I was at. Right? And I was like, okay, what do I do? And I started seeing opportunities. Graphic designer plus web. Graphic designer must know web design. you know, and I was like, oh, so this web design thing is growing. So guess what I did? I took a night class and learned web design. And before the class was done, it was an 8 week class. By the 6 or 7 week, I had my
mm,
first client, freelance client. I built my first website, like my first real website, like a business website. You know, so I had to adapt, and it was
yeah,
great because I made money, and I was able to have a whole new career now because I decided, well, I need to learn this thing I don't know. Right? I tried to avoid it. I tried to, you know, rationalize that. Oh, I don't need that. I'm just gonna stick to design, art, And it's like,
mm,
well, good luck with that, right?
yeah,
it didn't work out like I wanted it to, right? And so learning web design opened doors to where I was doing both. I was doing graphic design and web design. So I was making practically double the money. So
yeah.
it was great, and it's never failed me. And listen, to be clear, I don't like web design. It's not my passion. I really don't care for it, but it allowed me to make a living, right? Take care of my family. So I think it's going to be the same with AI. Is if you're an animator right now and or you're someone who works in traditional tools, traditional artistic tools,
Yeah.
and you're seeing AI as a threat, stop it. Go learn about it and understand it, you know, and then see if you can leverage it somehow in your own workflow. And that way you can put it on your resume and say, hey, I'm familiar with AI. I'm familiar with these apps. I'm familiar with these tools. Here's my portfolio, and here's my traditional stuff, my digital stuff, and here's some AI stuff I did. Right? Take you far. I really believe that. Right? People that are willing and able to adapt will go the furthest. They'll survive this onslaught of AI. They will. The changing in the industry, they will. Uh, and you don't have to. You can say, I still hate it, so that's fine. Just go find something else to do. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's clear it's not going anywhere. It's not about what we hope. Oh, I hope it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, it's not. It's just like Photoshop didn't go anywhere. 3D software didn't go anywhere. Right? CGI, VFX, it didn't go, and that replaced practical effects, right, and props and all that stuff. Right? It's not going anywhere. It's going to stay. And the key is to figure out how it fits in what we already have for now, and what will it turn into as time goes on, right? It'll definitely evolve into something else. Hopefully something great, right? But just like we used to say with 3D tools and digital tools, all the free software that's out there, like Krita and stuff like that, Canva, right? It's democratizing creativity, right? You know,
Yeah.
that's this is pre AI, right? Everyone who has a computer and access to the internet can download free software like Blender, you know, all this stuff and create something. They can learn to use it, create, and for many, it led to careers. Right? It led to work. Like it led to them being able to pay their bills. Right. Then it led to starting businesses for some. Right. You know, all based on a free software, a free application that they learn to use. You know, that's amazing. And I think that's the case with AI in many ways. It's going to create whole new opportunities if you're willing to capitalize on it, um, if you're willing to learn it and embrace it. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Um, I do wish he would have stood his ground, but at the same time, like I said, I don't know what triggered the decision. Who
Yeah.
knows? Hopefully, it's anything serious. I'll put it that way. So, yeah, it's like kind of wild. It's kind of amazing seeing the backlash and seeing the reactions. Um, yeah, people, especially on the internet, it seems like it's a whole different kind of beast. I guess because information is so readily, you know, available, you can see reactions in real time. Versus before it was through the different news rags, magazines, things like that, right? So now it's immediate. If you're just on X or Facebook or something, you're gonna just see like what's going on, like what is this crazy stuff, right? So it's kind of wild to me, but I do think the key is to embrace it, get over, you know, kind of swallow your pride, I guess, because I think that's part of it too is pride. Some people, yeah, they just don't like it, because they see it as like that's not art, that's something else,
Well,
that's
what's ironic is that, and I mentioned this earlier, is that the same people who will say AI isn't art is the same type of person that would say art is subjective and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
that's kind of what our
like,
title's about. It's kind of crazy, the what is it, cognitive dissonance, right? Like
yeah,
they'll defend postmodern, a lot of postmodern art, which much of it is objectively bad. Like and we've had this debate.
well, it's not just bad; it's just it takes little to no effort.
Yeah, yeah, it takes no real effort and it's dumb. Like it's just ugly or it's terrible. And like the banana duct tape to the wall, is an example of that, right? And they'll do, oh, but that's subjective. Somebody might look at that, and it's like, so what? It's still bad. And just because one person or 10 people or 100 people might look at it and perceive something deep and meaningful, doesn't mean the art itself is not bad. It's still bad. You're simply choosing to look beyond that reality and project a meaning onto it that probably isn't explicitly or implicitly there, right?
Right.
So, and it's like, and it's just funny. It's ironic, right? It's like they'll defend that to the death, right? They'll, oh no, you can't. It's artist subject. You don't know. But then as soon as you find out it's AI, oh, that's not art.
Well, what's funny is
It's
that
like, what is
people. One of the arguments is always, well, it's not made by a human. Well, it's like there are
it?
artists
Well, that's a
whose
lie.
obviously, but
That's just flat out.
there are people who use art. Or excuse me, there are artists who use different mediums like lights. Right? We didn't
Mhm.
create lights. Are they not artists?
Yeah,
I'm
you didn't
serious. Like
create.
people
Yeah,
use like lights
you
and
didn't.
shadows
Yeah, they've
to
used
create
mud.
art
They've
pieces.
used, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
didn't
didn't
make the
create the
mud.
mud.
I
You
mean,
didn't
none of
create
that. You
light.
didn't make the. You didn't make the acrylic paint. A factory made it, right? You didn't make the oil and ink wash. Yeah, a factory made that. You didn't make the
Yeah,
pencil. Pencil factory made it. Like unless you're pricking your finger and you're using your own blood, right? Then it's real art, right? Because it came straight from. Like it's nonsense, right? When you really like reduce it down, it becomes absurd, right? It's like, oh, a human didn't make. Well, what do you mean a human? A human is the one that generated it, right? That sparked the idea to create the art, right? Like that's the entire point, right? So you can say that about Photoshop, right? If you use content aware, for those who are familiar, right, is it not art anymore because you use content aware or use the cloning tool? Do you use undo? You can't undo in reality. You trip over something and fall, you just fall. You can't undo that. How
yeah.
can you undo art, right? But No, you don't question that. Like that's not a problem. That's a tool that right. It's a tool, right? It's a tool, just like AI is a tool. Period. It's a tool. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it
Yeah,
where it is art, you know, if a human made it, but then a human is the one that's making AI art, right? Like there's no AI machine walking around on its own, making art, right?
right.
And even if you can point to, well, there's this guy somewhere in some place that programmed a machine to generate, like, yeah, because it's once again a human, right? Programmed a machine to create art, right? That happened with one of these copyright cases where the guy created an AI that created art, and he
Mm.
tried to get it patented or trademarked under the ownership of the AI itself,
Oh,
because
really?
he created this AI, I guess, as an entity, right? And the court said no, it has to be a human, right? So if you make an AI, then that AI makes something, right? You still made the thing the AI made, right? By extension, you made it, so it's still human made. And the courts affirmed that. No, sir, you made it. You facilitated a tool to make the end result, right?
Right.
And you brought it an entity, but you programmed it and made it so that it could produce that, which means you produced it. It's that simple.
Yep.
So yeah, listen, AI, it's all fascinating. It leads to these kind of crazy conversations and exercises in logic and rationale. That's good. It's good to discuss these things and have conversations. Not conversations, not accusations, right? Um, and unfortunately, it's been more accusation than conversation from a lot of people. And even I've seen some AI creators kind of poking the bear, because they're trying to get engagement and grow their account. And say, yeah, don't poke the bear. Don't insult traditional artists. Don't diminish them. Don't It's like respect traditional artists. Just like we respect the greats, Da Vinci and Michelangelo, right? We respect them because they were great artists and they did great works, right? And they didn't have Photoshop and all this stuff, right? So we respect it all the more, right? So I think it should be the same with even artists of the digital age, the previous digital age, who did beautiful, wonderful things, right? Um, it's like, yeah, respect that, right? They did sort of lay the foundation, just like the artists before them laid the foundation. So, and going forward, there'll be a new foundation. I mean, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to denigrate and insult. Now, if someone's being disrespectful, that's one thing. But I just mean in general. I don't hate on artists, traditional artists. I don't hate on artists that don't like AI. It's like, well, I can understand. I mean, and I figure maybe at some point they'll come around because ultimately they probably won't have a choice. I'm sure. I mean, I knew guys who didn't like Photoshop. Like I knew them. I went to
Yep.
school with them. Even after I graduated, I met people. I hate Photoshop. Why? Why? What has it done to you? Nothing. It's made editing images easier. Why would you hate that? That's like hating cruise control, right? Like, why do you hate cruise control?
I mean,
You
some
try it.
people hate. Some people hate. What's the automatic gear shift song?
Yeah, why? That makes no sense. You can prefer one over the other, but why do you hate it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Artist who loves to draw doesn't have to give up drawing to use AI. You understand? You can't, he's not going to be forced to do one or the other. Just like we weren't forced to give up drawing because Photoshop and Illustrator existed. I mean, you understand? That's why they made tablets and digital pens so we can keep drawing on a screen. Because they're like, yeah, people still want to draw. They're going to draw, right? It's going to be the same with AI. There's even AI out there that lets you draw and it facilitates your drawing in some way. Like it's like, yeah, it's not going anywhere. So no one's asking you to choose either or. This is not a good versus evil. You know,
No.
it's not. It's not. You're not evil if you use AI, and you're not evil if you don't. You're just a person that's either using it or not, and you can have a preference. That's fine. You know, like Justine Bateman, she doesn't want AI. She doesn't like it. She doesn't have to like it, but it is inevitable. It's not going anywhere. And at some point, you know, I'm not saying she has to embrace it, but at some point, it'd be kind of pointless to keep resisting it. I'll put it that way. It's like, why are you resisting? You know, like there's going to be films made that are going to be so objectively good, and you're just going to deny it because oh he used AI for this or that. That's like saying oh he used Photoshop or you know it's kind of weird. You know,
Yeah.
like at some point, creativity is creativity. You know, it's from the mind of a creator. That's what matters. Intentionality. You know? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. And I also saw there was a post about I guess there's artists coming together and they're mark labeling their projects no you know no AI or non AI or human made something like that. You know.
Oh yeah, they're marketing their projects so that basically just saying you're not allowed to use my art as a
Oh, is that
trading
what it
tool.
is?
Yeah.
It's- oh, okay. So I thought it was more for the public, like, hey, I made this and I didn't use AI. So, you know, like,
Well, no, I haven't seen that. I've just seen
oh,
people
I
like
see.
market like
You're saying,
don't use
like,
this for
oh,
AI
yeah.
training. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's fair. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Like have being able to give consent or non-consent is important. So I don't think that's a problem. I think that's
No.
fair. You know, um, but I would also say maybe you shouldn't digitize your art and put it online. I'm just saying. You know, like
I mean,
don't.
where else are they gonna show it off?
Well, just well, you can do private. You know, and that's probably what's going to happen. You're going to have private art sites and you know, things like that, where it's like ArtStation. I think they have a whole filtering now where you have to tag your art as AI. It's AI, you know, or you used AI in some way. That way it filters out, so people can go, well, I want to look at what's on ArtStation, but I don't want to see any AI. They can filter it out. So I think that's good. I don't have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with saying I want to know if it's AI. It's like okay. I mean, to me, that's like saying I want to know if you used a paintbrush or or Photoshop. It's like okay, right? I mean, you understand? Like I want to
Yeah,
know how you made it. I want to know, you know, that's fine.
yeah, that's
It's
fair.
not detrimental. Like it's not detrimental to know that something was made with AI. To me, it doesn't diminish what's produced. What diminishes what produced is if is it quality? Does it, like I said, does it move you? Does it inspire me? Does it entertain me? Does it do what it's intended to do? Or is like people say, is it slop? Is it just nonsense? Is it a cat playing a fiddle in a barbershop? Like you understand? Is it just like some crazy that somebody because they wanted to go viral, right? Like it's like yeah, all right, whatever. It's yeah, that's slow. But if it's a carefully crafted story and narrative, with character development and everything, you know, unique visuals, it's like did someone put time in that? There's an
Yeah,
intentionality, right? So labeling it AI doesn't make it less, in my opinion. You know, now that doesn't mean if someone uses traditional methods, you know, pose to pose animation, hand drawn, right? And they make something amazing, it's like it makes it all the more amazing. It does, right? Because it's like, wow, this is mad skill. This is great. Like, this is amazing. So that's just inevitable, right? Versus if they use, digital tools like Unreal Engine, like doing stuff in Unreal Engine is like, oh, that's great. Or using Blender or something, to using motion capture, right? You can still make something really cool and compelling, visually pleasing, and fun and entertaining, right? But if someone does it by hand, by traditional means, it's all the more impressive, right? That's true. You know, it's like whoa, and he did that by hand. Oh, that's amazing. Um, so yeah, but that doesn't mean if it was done in AI that it's still not going to be compelling and beautiful and
I mean,
entertaining.
like I said, as long as it looks good. So
We'll say it again.
I said, as long as it looks good, that's the important part.
Well, not just looks good. I'm saying it hits all the notes as if it were done with motion capture and Unreal Engine, or if it was done traditionally by hand, like hand, pose to pose on twos and ones, hand drawn cells, whatever, right? You follow what I'm saying? Like you can create the exact same thing, right? And they all three can be beautiful and compelling and entertaining. Do you understand? But the one that's done by hand is going to always be all the more impressive because it's done by hand, right? It's like a 3D printer can 3D print a beautiful Statue of Liberty, but then there's a guy that can take a piece of wood and whittle it out and make something equally impressive. Make his
That's true.
own. You understand? You're gonna look at the
But
guy and go,
there
"Man,
are people who
awesome."
model stuff, right? But then they
Yeah,
print it out.
that's what I'm saying. Like doing things by hand, like a craft, it's gonna always be impressive, like because it is human made, it's handmade. That's all I'm saying. It's gonna be more impressive than doing. But that's true even in the digital space, not just with AI, but even with digital tools like Unreal Engine and Photoshop. Like it's still more impressive than that. That's I follow Aaron Blaze, right? He's a great animator, and I love this movie with the bears and everything else. Actually, really cool. And it's like he did that traditional animation, hand drawn cells, pose to pose, in betweens, all that stuff, right? And it came out beautiful. It looks amazing, right? And it's all the more impressive because this is something came out of his own hands, right? Like, do you understand? It's a craft. And he treats it like a craft, and it is a craft, right? But if someone did the same thing using AI, it's like it would still be a beautiful movie. Do you understand? If you had the same visuals, effects, outcome, basically, you'll go,
Mm,
"Oh, that was a great story. Like that was beautiful." It's still a great story.
yeah,
That's the point of making, right? But it's all the more impressive knowing, oh, but he did it by hand. He did it, because I'm like, because if you're gonna make that argument, then, like I said, knowing someone used, Maya or Blender to create an animated character, right? Digital tools, right? Then that's not as impressive as someone like Aaron Blaze who did it by hand. You follow? Like that's all I'm saying. Like it's a level, it's levels, right? I mean, and that's fine, and that's always been true, right? The skill set of a painter is always more impressive than the skill set of a digital Photoshop guru, right? Because it's a painter. You understand? Like that's
yeah,
just how it works. But it doesn't diminish what the Photoshop guru is doing. That's all I'm saying. Like it doesn't. They're still going to go. Oh, that still takes talent, skill, intent, right? Intentionality. So
mm,
this is with AI. There's some AI out there. You're like, yeah, it looks terrible. There's some AI where you're like, whoa, that really looks good. Like they really put some time into that. Because a lot of these guys are using their own original art and developing characters and style and visual aesthetic, color schemes, color palettes, and
right.
then they're feeding it into the AI tool and creating scenes and video, right? So, as I'm saying, it still takes a great level of craft if you're going to get something really beautiful, right? Really good. Right? So that's not going away.
No,
Craftsmanship is still needed for even in the age of the digital and the age of AI. Craftsmanship still wins today. Right? It always has and always will. That's never going to change. I mean, period. So, but yeah, it's kind of wild. I'm
yeah.
we're living in exciting times for sure. So, but yeah, you have anything else you want to talk about in relation to this? Because I think I've kind of said all my points.
No, I mean, I've said everything I needed to say. I wanted to talk about uh, what you shared with me in regards to the I think what was it I guess they're boycotting DC or something.
Oh yeah, the DC blackout.
The blackout.
Yeah, uh, it's I actually forgot about that because it's so ridiculous in my opinion. So that's why I don't take it seriously. I think
I mean,
it's
it's not serious. I mean, I think um, I think the YouTuber that you brought up already made a good point. It's like DC isn't making a lot of black superheroes because you're not buying the comics. It's
yeah,
point blank
exactly.
period.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly right.
it's like,
You're not buying the comics, so it's kind of
and
like,
most of you are
what are
pirating
you
the
doing?
comics. So it's like, why would they? Why would they? It's like you're not even supporting DC financially. So why would they want to cater to you? So yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's called I guess DC So White. They did it with the Oscar So White thing, but it's this guy. He makes a great video in response to it, and he calls out the nonsense and points out that you're not buying these books. You're not patronizing. Like you're demanding black characters be put out there in these books, but then you're not buying it. Like not enough of
Yeah,
you are going out to buy it. So that means there's really no demand for it. So, but yet you're rallying these people to rally behind this so-called movement and boycott DC and cry out on online and and it's like, okay, so let's say it works, and then they put out another Static Shock book or something, right? And it doesn't sell, right? It barely sells a couple of thousand, right? You know what I mean?
uh,
And then they have to discontinue it. Like, well, and this is funny because one of the part of the demands is, yeah, put it out there and don't discontinue it even if the sales are down. Like that's paraphrase, right? And it's like, what? So you want them to put a book out in the market, spend money making it, right? And if it doesn't sell, to keep it out there, to keep printing more books and keep it circulating, even though no one's buying it at their expense, obviously, right? It's just such a ridiculous mindset. It's like you're 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 mad that DC or maybe even Marvel is not making enough black characters, and it's like, well, why are they obligated to make any black characters? They're not.
I mean, they're not. Yeah,
They don't have to. They don't have to do anything. They're a private
they're
company.
only
They can do whatever they
obligated to
want.
do what makes them money.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's pretty
They're
all good.
beholden to their shareholders, etc. Right. So if you want to see more black characters, and you happen to be a comic book artist, a writer, etc., why don't you just go make your own? Right. Like in this day and age, and this has been true for like at least 20 years, if not longer.
Yeah.
You can just make it yourself and put it out there. Right. You may have to start small, but it's definitely doable. Right.
Hmm.
Just make it, put it out there, save up your money, do a crowdfund, whatever, right? Make it, put it out there, and hope for the best, right? And
Right.
it can be as woke as you want. It can address all the ills of oppression and the white man, this and the colonizers that. You can put it all in there, throw it all in there, right? Everything, throw it in there. Kunta Kinte, everything, throw it in there, and put it and print it. But see, they don't want to do that, right? Because it's all posturing. It's not real. It's not
Yeah.
authentic. He points that out too in the video if you watch it. Um, it's kind of hilarious. The guy is married to a white woman, which, for the record, I have no issue with that. You can marry whoever you want. I don't think you're
No, it's
portraying
not a problem at all. But
way outside
you're
of
also
your
a
full
hypocrite.
truth. That I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, but if you're constantly blackly black, like in Living Color, I don't know if you remember that with Damon Wayans. He had
Well,
a skit.
is living
Guy
color
was
made the
like
joke.
black, and he's
Um.
just and I'm black, and there's another one. I'm black, y'all,
Oh
and
yes,
I'm black, y'all,
CB.
right?
You talking about CB4? Yeah. Black
Yeah, and
yo.
it's like it's like these guys that do that, and they love to posture that way, but
Freaking
then in
How to
reality,
Survive in South Central.
you're,
Yeah.
you're not even married to a black woman, right? So it makes
Yeah.
no sense. It's like that's fine. You can be married to a black woman, I don't have a problem with that. That's their
white woman.
prerogative. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
You
But
mean married to
at
a
the
white
same
woman?
time, we'll say it again.
You said you mean married to a white woman?
Oh yeah, white one. I'm sorry. Did I say married to a black woman?
Yeah, he said
Oh, I'm
there's
sorry. Yeah,
nothing.
married to a white. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Well, there's nothing wrong with either one. Like marry
I
whether
know,
you
I know, I know.
it's like, but what? It's I don't understand. I do understand. Like I said, I think it's just posturing. I don't think he really believes what he's saying. I think it's just like he knows it's going to get clicks and views and attention and
Yeah.
reactions and engagement, and that's kind of the name of the game. With these algorithms is engagement. Oh, I got to get people to reply and comment. And
Well,
say, all right,
even if
sure, but
they
just do it
do
based
believe
on
this,
something you actually have a conviction for, like you really do believe.
well, yeah, but that's the thing. Even if they do believe this stuff, and I'm going to keep saying it, there's more to life than being black. All right.
Oh yeah, yes.
So it's
There
like
literally is.
it's like
Being black
get over it.
is an interesting thing about us.
Yeah, it's like
I mean,
if the most interesting thing about you is that
that
you're
you're
black, then you have
yeah,
nothing going for you.
doing life wrong.
Like
You're doing
I can tell you, there's a lot of people interesting things about me. People tell me, Jerry, how do you have so many jobs? I was like, well, I guess I'm just like Forrest Gump. Life is a box of chocolates,
yeah,
and it's like
that's
people
true.
are surprised, like how many like careers I've had, and they're like, well, how did you do all of this? And it's like I just did it, just went out and did
It's
it.
just love live. Yeah,
Sometimes I sucked at it, and sometimes I was great at it. That's life.
yeah, yeah.
But like I don't.
You just
But
you're
if
a
all I
person.
had, yeah.
You're a human being. Go be a human
But
being.
that's the thing. It's like there's more. It's like tell a story about humanity, and that connects to the human, and people will gravitate towards it, whether it's black or white or whatever. Right? One of my favorite movies, um, one of my favorite recent movies of all time is RRR. And no, that wasn't Freddy Fazbear. That was the Rise, Revolt, and Revolution, the Indian movie.
Talk about pirates. Arr.
Yeah, it's not about pirates. It was the Indian movie. I think it was.
Yeah, that was a great
That was a
movie.
great movie.
Yeah,
Love that
that is,
movie.
and it's an Indian movie, and
Yeah.
it touches on Indian history in relation to, I guess, the British Empire and the
Oh
colonization.
yeah, the British
That's what,
company.
but
Yeah.
it kind of it kind of parodies it, right? It's not an actual historical,
Well, I wouldn't say it's
historical.
a parody. It's just an exaggeration.
Yeah,
Because
well, that's what I
a
mean.
lot of
Yeah,
Bollywood and
I mean
Tugulu
that's what
movies are
parody
like
is.
that.
That's what I'm saying. Especially the British
Right,
characters.
but to say a parody would be to say it's making fun of it. It's not really
It
doing
is
that.
making fun. It's definitely making fun of the British royalty and the elites. It's
Oh well, yeah,
definitely,
it's making fun of British people. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just saying the
making fun
movie itself.
of
I wouldn't call the movie a parody. But yeah,
no, the
I give you.
movie. The
I give you.
movie is well,
No, but Dan,
yeah.
listen to me. All
It's a good.
Bollywood movies are like that. They're
I
all
know
like
that. That's what I'm saying. It's a good
that.
balance of great, adventure and storytelling, but there is parody. Like there is, like the part where they become friends, and it shows them riding motorcycles together. Then it shows them riding the horses together. Then it shows them running on the beach, like all in. It was like that. They're poking fun at the idea of they're having fun. They
I
know
mean,
what they're doing.
obviously,
It's not
yeah.
just a Bollywood thing. It's like they know, like, yeah, let's have fun with this idea that they're best buds, right? So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It mixes all that in really well,
Mhm.
and it's just a fun. It's a long movie. It's like over 3 hours, and
I didn't even realize it was 3 hours.
I
I
know
was having so much fun.
it's
I was having
yeah.
so
It
much
really wasn't
fun.
until I think the third, I guess the third act or whatever, when they did like all the backstory on the
Oh,
the
the
what
soldier,
is it?
the
The
British soldier.
general guy, whatever the
Yeah,
soldier. Yeah, that's when I started to feel like, okay, this is long. Like this is
we're
a
not
whole other
British, but
story.
you know what I mean.
But yeah, it finished off well. It's very satisfying to watch, and of course they have a few dance scenes. It especially at the end. it's
Oh
it's a
yeah.
great
Well, I
movie.
mean, that's a
Highly
that's
recommend. Highly recommend.
but
Yeah,
yeah, but it's like
RR.
I love that movie. Um,
Yeah, I do. That is
you
a
know,
favorite.
I'm writing a story about you know Japanese kids who grew up listening to Motown in the '70s. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
exactly.
what's his name? Going back to Mexican stuff. Mucha Lucha was I'm pretty sure Gutierrez was a part of that, but I think the writers behind it were Australian.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. It's we got into we reverted to a place of like idiocy, right? When it comes to these things and entertainment, it's just so silly. And like I said, this whole boycott thing is nonsensical. It's like, please stop it. Like, just make it. You don't have to beg, quote unquote, white people, the man, to give you crumbs. Go bake your own bread. That's all I'm saying. You
yeah.
know, go build the table, set the table, bake you some bread and a whole meal, and it's all yours. And no one's really gonna stop you, right? No, I mean, and these same people, they attack other creators, you know, like Godhood comics and Ripperverse and all that, and calling them sellouts, and it's like, I don't know, it's astounding to me, But like I said, I think it's just posturing for attention and engagement. I don't think they really believe it. I don't believe that they really do believe the words they're saying, you know, because it just seems so absurd. Like it's just logically ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know why grown men get online and do this stuff. So call for boycotts of companies they have no control over, but they have the power to make what they want themselves.
Because it makes them seem more important than they actually are.
Maybe
It makes them
I don't
look
get
like a quote unquote activist, even
why.
though
I have no
why?
respect.
Because it makes them look good in the eyes of what their
Maybe,
fictional audience,
maybe. Well,
or
I mean, he's
or an
got
audience
a
that
big
would hate
following,
them
so
regardless.
yes, there's people that they're out there. They like it, so they like it. They like it. But yeah, I don't get it. So yeah, I almost forgot about this, but I appreciate the brother making a video or in reaction to it. I think he nailed it.
Yeah,
Um, it's like, yeah, and he touches on, like I said, he mentions the contradiction being married to a white woman. So I thought that was kind of hilarious. Like you're calling a man who's married, Eric July, sellout or Uncle Tom, who
yeah.
is married to a black woman, who has a black child, who created a black character in a predominantly black universe.
Named after his black
After his black
grandfather,
grand,
apparently.
yeah,
Yeah,
his black sister. It's like, what are we doing, man? Like up is down, left is right, you know, hot is cold. Like it's just ridiculous, man. Like what they really want us to believe this that he's the sellout, not the guy. Cause I don't believe being married to someone outside of your race is being a sellout. So I can't say that. I'm just saying it's a terrible hypocrisy. Right? It
hmm
really it's a bad look, But just because you are, it doesn't make you one. It doesn't, you're a human being. You're a man. You found someone you love. You married her. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not going to denigrate somebody for doing that. But it's like, don't throw stones at glass houses, like, right? Don't what is it? Don't live in a glass house throwing stones, something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
Don't
can't
throw
make
rocks
that.
at your glass house.
Yeah, you can't make claims like that in your position. Like you just can't. Like you just can't. Like that's all I'm saying. Like more power to you. But yeah, can't do that. That's absurd. You and I don't. That's why for me, I'm like, why does anyone take this seriously? I don't take it seriously. I think it's a joke.
You should take it seriously.
It's nonsense. It's just I don't know. It's nonsense. So, but yeah, that's all I have. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up because I did forget about that.
Ironically, I'm reminded of one of my favorite African stories. Ironically, and it's like a African take on the Giving Tree. There's an animation on there's an animation of it on YouTube, but basically it's about this story about uh, this guy who escapes his abusive family. It's his mom and his brother. They treat him poorly, and he goes off on his own, and he finds a tree, and he starts picking the fruit from the tree, and each fruit becomes like a person, and the final fruit becomes this princess, and the princess reveals that they were cursed, and the whole kingdom was turned into a tree, and since he freed them, she's going to make him the king, and so he's living life because he saved these people, and so when the mom and the brother find out that he's rich, they try to like get his wealth and stuff like that. So they try to like get back into his life and find out how he got rich. But he's supposed to keep it a secret because if he doesn't keep it a secret, they all disappear. Obviously, at the end of the story, he reveals how he got his wealth, and all of the people and the kingdom that he freed, they all disappear. And so, like the idea was that he sacrificed you know all of his all of his gainings for people who didn't really care about him just because they were his supposed family. And it's like I think that accurately describes the plight of a lot of black content creators, where it's like no matter it's like they get something of their own or they make something of their own, and it can be really cool, but if it doesn't fit,
Conform
yeah, if it
to
doesn't conform,
the narrative.
yeah, or to their view of
Well,
what black
if
black
you don't
black
conform to the narrative, right? It's not even the thing itself, like what you make. It's if you don't, right? You as a person don't follow the narrative, right? You don't buy into it. You don't promote it. You don't. In fact, maybe things you
well,
say
it's the
run
content
counter
is
to it.
yeah.
Then you're not really black, and you're not.
Well, it's the content as well because I've gotten I mean I've gotten comments not just with any story I write. It's like it's always I always get questions like, oh, why did you make her a black woman? Well, why can't all the characters be black? Why can't and with the city pop story I'm writing? It was like, well, maybe you should change it to where it's about a black man. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do.
If you're black, all your characters have to be black.
Yeah,
Period.
it's like that's not. It's not
And
how. That's not.
if you're white, all your characters have to be white.
Well,
And
no.
if
If
you're
you're white,
Asian,
all your characters have to be
all your
black
characters have to
and
be Asian.
women and gay. Yeah.
So Vinland Saga cannot exist because the people that made it were not
Yeah, it's a Japanese
white.
guy.
They weren't white European.
Jojo Araki's
Citizens.
not a British Victorian era pugilist.
Right.
He shouldn't have
Yeah.
written
So he
JoJo.
should have made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, like only
It was better.
two protagonists in JoJo are Japanese. The rest are like British, Italian,
Yeah.
and
So
American.
One Piece can't exist
Yeah,
because they're so too diverse.
yeah.
Usopp,
Luffy's from Brazil. Usopp is vaguely
yeah,
African.
yeah, you can't be in there.
Yeah,
See,
so
you
it's
see
like
how ridiculous it gets. It's because there's this ridiculous rationale that comes from Marxist theory and Marxist dogma. Really, ultimately, that's the foundation of it. That this group identity dynamic that exists. We have to exist as one. We have to exist as the same. We have to be homogenous, and therefore, everything we do is black. Everything we do, by extension, is black, black, black. And it's like, but what is black? Black is a color, right? And I'm not
nobody.
black, I'm brown, right? Like the
Yeah, from the
song says, brown
boogie
productions, right? So you understand, but we embrace being called black. No time in history did we ever refer to ourselves as black. We talk about Africa and things like that.
What's ironic
Until
is like nobody could define what being black is. So it's like if
No,
you can't,
they can't. I mean, technically, you can't define any so-called race because race is not what they say it is. Right? They're people groups and ethnicities, right? There's Asians, and then within Asians, there's Taiwanese and Korean and
right?
Chinese.
But that's all like culture and stuff like that.
That's my point. That way, that's why you can say, "What does it mean to be Japanese?" And they'll say, "Well, it means I believe this and that. We have this tradition and that tradition, right?"
Yeah,
And you can say the same about black people, but that isn't inherently true, right? Because we're not a monolith. We're not a monolithic culture, right? Because we're all over the place. We're everywhere in the world, right? If when you define it as just black, right?
hmm
But you know, a lot of people are from the Caribbean, right? Are they black? Because oh, well, they have brown skin, so that makes them black. Well, that doesn't make sense
I mean, there's a lot
because
of Chinese, Caribbean as
Haitian,
well.
the Jamaican, Dominican, they're all different cultures.
Yeah,
There's some similarities, but you understand, like they're defined by their culture and their region that they're from, not by their skin color, right? And the same in Africa, right? Yeah, even within Africa, within African countries, you have various tribes and different things, and that's all based on bloodlines. You understand? So
hmm
you ask someone what's it mean to be in your tribe, they're going to tell you a whole different story from someone else might say from a different tribe. Right? Even though they all have brown skin, they're all quote unquote black, but they're not all the same, right? And that's the problem with that kind of logic and thinking is it lacks logic, right? It's like that's not how reality works. Like we're not a monolithic people, and we don't have to be. We really don't. Um, I mean, we don't. Now there is a string of culture that runs through what's been called the Black experience in America, right? So then a Black person that grew up, like I grew up in
right. The
L.A.
black experience in
and a Black
America,
person,
we're
but no, but a
American.
Black person that grew up in Texas, we might have a lot of similarities, right? In how we grew up, our upbringing. Why? Because a lot of Black people migrated from the South to California.
Well,
So
sure, yeah.
with them certain traits and practices. So you'll find correlation with black people in Texas or Arizona or Arkansas or Louisiana and here in Los Angeles, right? Do you understand? Like that's a sign of a common culture, right? But that's not true for all black people, and that's the point I'm making. Like not every black person in the United States carries the same cultural, you know, touch points. You understand? Like a black person that grew up in Queens it's not necessarily going to be the same as a black person that grew up in Texas. I mean, they're not.
hmm
That doesn't make sense. You understand? They're going to have different cultural touchstones. They're going to say, "Well, when I was in Queens, we did this and did that." The person in Texas will probably be like, "Well, in Texas, we did this." And then it depends on what part of Texas, because even that's not exactly the same. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, but we don't acknowledge that. We don't want to. Like, that's the reality, though. It's not. It's not this, monolithic belief system and way of life and cultural. There isn't. Right? It's very different. It depends. It depends on regions you grew up in and all that stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to be. That's just how it is with everybody. Not every white person is the same as every other white person. Right? Some hail from different regions of the world in their family ancestry, their traditions, their
Well,
belief system.
I mean, that's the thing that most people with common sense understand this, but it's just people.
Yeah.
It's just a
Well, that's
lot
what
of
I'm saying,
people.
'cause a lot of these people they adapt the wrong type of worldview. Like I said, that much of it is rooted in a Marxist dogma that creates this. Everything's about identity, racial identity, but there is no true racial identity, right? Because we're all the same race. We're all human, right? So it's really about people groups and cultural groups and regional group. Meaning, if you're Taiwanese, then you're going to have a similar culture to other Taiwanese people, right? You understand? Like, because you hail from the same continent, the same landmass, right? Now you can say, well, we're from Africa. Our ancestors, well, some of us are, some of us are not. Some of us are from the Caribbean. Some of us, you trace us back and they may not even touch Africa. might be somewhere else. I mean, you understand? Like we're at a place where it's not so straightforward, you know. So that's all I'm saying. Like I'm American.
Yeah,
That's all I know. I don't know
that's
anything
it.
about.
Yeah.
I know Africans. I know Africans from Nigeria, from Kenya.
Listen, as someone who's been to Africa, I'm an
Yeah, you've
American.
been there. You've been to Uganda.
as, so, as someone who's
Yeah, like
been to Africa,
Ugandan fans,
because
and,
let me tell you something. They knew I was an American because I was
yeah,
tall.
exactly. That's the
I,
other side, right? When you go
I
to the Caribbean or something, they know you're from there. Like as soon as
yeah.
you open your mouth and speak, they know. Oh, you're
You
not
don't
from.
even have to speak. You just look at you like, oh yeah,
Yeah, they're like, you're not from here.
yeah,
That's exactly right. Because we're not all the same. It's not.
yeah.
It's not a universal thing. There's similarities for sure. I mean, but it's not. It's not this. But there's similarities with other people groups too. Like you go to Mexico and find similarities in their culture. The Honduras, or like you're gonna find it everywhere because we're people.
Right,
And
but
at
that's
some
the thing.
point we
It's like
have interacted and all these different throughout history. So you're gonna find a lot of cultural things that are similar, right? A similar
right, but
pattern.
that's why we can relate to. That's why we can relate to stories that are outside of our culture. Like I
Exactly.
like me being black didn't stop me from crying watching Coco. It didn't stop me
Yeah,
from crying
that's exactly.
watching Grave of the
Yeah,
Fireflies. It didn't
yeah.
stop me from enjoying Who Killed Captain Alex for crying out
Yeah.
loud. It didn't
And I
stop
was
me.
about to say, like
That's
that's
how
why
Uganda.
anime is exploding because the stories resonate. It crosses cultural lines, right? Because much of the stories are just timeless truths, right? They're human experiences. They're not black experiences or exclusively
Yeah.
Japanese experiences. They're human experiences, right? And that's why it's exploding the way it is because we understand that. And then many of us are willing to learn the certain nuances of Japanese culture to get that full immersion, right? Like in relation to certain things we may see in these anime and go, oh, well, why do that? Oh, that's what they do for this or that. Especially food. We notice there's a lot of food motifs, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of emotional ties to food in Japanese culture, right? And it's
Mm,
like, oh, okay. And what do you find even in Black culture? A lot of emotional
no
ties
ties to
to,
food.
to food,
Yeah.
right? In American Black culture, especially blacks who hail from the South, right? There's big correlation with Big Mama's house and food and eating on Sundays and family get together. Like that's all there. And guess what? There's parallels with that with the overarching white culture in America, right? Do you understand? Like there's all these correlations. It's like, of course, we're all people. We're humans,
Yeah.
right? We have shared experiences. Not the same, but definitely similar, right? And that's why you see those patterns. You see the same things, eating on Sundays and all that. That's an American thing, not just a black thing or a white thing or a Mexican
Oh
thing.
yeah.
It's an American thing. It's how it's always been, right? So, and it's
People in the
beautiful.
north.
So, it sounds like your audio is breaking up a bit.
Oh yeah, I'm just
Are you-
fixing something. But I'm just saying, people like most people with common sense know that. That's all I'm saying.
I think so. I think most people intuitively understand that, but what happens is that understanding gets interrupted and bombarded with a lot of media talking points, academia, things like that that kind of forces you to kind of nullify that knowing, that common sense you have within you to know, like, yeah, this isn't right. Like, like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Instead, you kind of, I think a lot of people buy into it because it feels like it might be the right thing because there's so many others that are buying into it. Um, and a part of it is just not thinking it through too. When you're demanding make more black, publish more
Well,
black books.
it
It's like, well,
reminds me of
right? It's
yeah.
it's not just make black stuff. It's like what? Like
Well,
how about you allow black characters to flourish, right? Like so when they do release something from Static Shock, for example, maybe rally your people to go buy it.
or better yet, just let black creators create whatever stories they want with whatever
Well,
characters
no
they want.
one's stopping them. That's what I'm saying. See,
Right, I know,
people
but
will frame it as being stopped because, well, you're not giving me the resources. right? You're not giving me millions of dollars. It's like, well, I don't have to. Nobody
Or
has to give you anything. You have to earn it. You have to just go out and get it. Success is not really earned; it's taken, right? So you just got to go do something that's valuable that people find value in, and they'll give you money for it. Like, that's literally how it works. That's it. Make something that people value, and they'll give you money for it. Whether it's a great book or TV show, a movie, clothing, whatever. Right? People value it, and then you have to give it a value proposition. You have to say this is why this is valuable, and it can't just be because it's black, because that, that doesn't have as much value as you would like it to have, even among other black people, right? Like telling me support this because it's black doesn't make me want to support it. We're not living in Jim Crow. I mean, we're not. But even businesses in Jim Crow still had to offer value. They didn't go shop here because I'm black. They're like, hey, I got the best this or that. Come get it, right?
yeah,
That hasn't changed. Make something great, something beautiful, something awesome, something that's appealing. And guess what? Not just black people will patronize you, but everybody will. I mean, I'm bringing them up again, but it's a great example because it's recent, you know, and everything. But Eric July's Rippaverse is is successful not because black people are buying his books. It's successful because all people are buying his books because it appeals to everyone. Even though this first book was a black character, right?
mhm,
I guarantee you, a lot of people who are not black bought the book. Why? Because they weren't going, "Ooh, a black character. Let me support black, black business." No, they were saying, "Oh, this looks interesting. Oh, there's a history behind it. Oh, it's based off of one of his ancestors." He gave a value proposition, and people said, "Oh, I like that. I'm gonna buy it." And plus, he built up a lot of good faith over the years. Right? Already had a very big fan base. And he's proven his credibility. Therefore, it was I don't want to say easy, but easier, right, to get it out there and build up the support, right, the groundswell. So, but you understand it had nothing to do with like, oh, he's a black creator, so we gotta support black. It's like, no, just it looks cool. It's interesting. There's value in it. Okay, let's give him money. Right? That's just how it works. Now you can support something just because it's black. I'm not saying you can. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, but that can only go so far. It. And I've talked to black people. They go, yeah, we try to buy black, but it's like sometimes it's not the quality's not there, or the business that we need it doesn't exist among a black person. Right, a black person doesn't own the business. So say, what do you do? Well, you got to just find what works. Or sometimes it's like, well, their prices were too high, and the other guy who wasn't black, his prices were lower. That's just how it all works. It has nothing to do with race. That's just the way it is. So
mhm.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like some people just envision this black topia, right? This black utopia where everybody's black, everything's black. You know, police are black, doctors are black, and it's like, okay. I mean, I'm sure it's like that in Africa because it's majority black continent, right? So
Yeah,
I see more. That's because the region's mostly right, black and brown people. I mean, that's great, But in America, that's just not the reality. Right? So we're not the majority.
yeah,
That's not.
but we want to act like I think I don't know. I think
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird.
people.
It's a weird kind of worldview. So,
Well, it's
whoever,
like I don't know. It's like people want to. Uh, it's people want to act like uh, people are overreacting to quote unquote diversity and stuff like that. But then when you actually hear people talk about um, like just out in like the regular world, like I was talking to somebody um, about Canada. We were talking about the trip to Canada, and they were like, "Oh man, there was too many white people." And I'm just like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean? It's Canada. It's like, why did you expect a bunch of brown people up there? It's cold. No duh. But regardless, it's just like it's such a weird thing to say. And like if it was said about any other people group, they'd be considered racist.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It's like people, and I said this a bunch of times. It's like people act like all they want is representation when what they actually want is revenge, and they're just too cowardly to say it out loud.
Yeah, well, some aren't. I've talked to a lot of black folks who are very very hateful. So it's unfortunate, but because they just
Well,
think
hate makes you miserable, so
it does, and they have a belief system that
get some help.
yeah, that just lends itself to just being angry and bitter at people that you really don't know. But yeah, it's strange. But yeah, um, I don't know. You want to
It,
boycott
it,
these?
it,
That's your business. I don't care. So I just think it's silly to demand things that aren't based in you know reality. Like it's different if you know he was demanding like make a cyborg movie or something, or make a because there's a popularity. Like we were talking about cyborg and how he's very popular. And I was continuing that. I think he's pretty popular, like maybe more popular than we realize, because he's been not only in the comics but he's been on television more so than other characters like Storm or something. Especially in recent years. That's kind of what I mean. But just like John Stewart, because of the Justice League and JLU series, he's far more familiar to uh, general audiences than Kyle Rayner or something, right? You know what I mean? Like, or Hal Jordan, because he was a prominent figure in those series, and those series are incredibly popular even today. Like, we're decades away from its initial airing, and there's still huge followings on channels that exclusively talk about Justice League and JLU. Right? There's still a fandom. There's still channels that play the episodes and snippets. Like you understand what I mean? So John Stewart it's like where's the John Stewart movie? Like where are we getting this buddy cop nonsense? Streaming show. Why aren't we getting a movie? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense, right? So like criticism about that to me would make more sense to say, yeah, why aren't you guys treating these popular black characters with the respect they deserve? Then I would be on board with that because I'm like, yeah, I do believe they are mishandling characters like Cyborg, like with the Justice League movies. Like Zack Snyder's version was basically a Cyborg movie. So I'm like, well, why the heck didn't you just do a Cyborg movie, bro? Like, why are you doing squeezing Cyborg story into a Justice League movie? Just make a Cyborg movie. It would play. People would watch it because people love Cyborg. A lot of people grew up watching Cyborg on Teen Titans, right? And then you have another generation who watched Teen Titans Go. Like he's a popular character. He's well
Yeah,
known.
people are still watching Teen Titans Go. That's the funny
That's what I'm
part.
saying. Like so, there's definitely plausibility for making a Cyborg movie and having it do very well if it's done well. If they don't woke it up and put garbage in it, race swap and all this other nonsense, right? But actually make a good, compelling movie. Yeah, it gets, like they did Blue Beetle. And to be honest, I watched it. It wasn't a terrible movie. It was okay, right? It could have been better if they removed certain scenes, and uh, yeah, it would have been 10 times better, actually. But it's like they had to throw a lot of nonsense into it, because they got a virtue signal and all this stuff, right? So that's what makes it frustrating because Blue Beetle is actually a decent character. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like it's the mishandling of the existing characters that sucks, right? And it's like instead of criticizing that, it's just blanket. Oh, just give us more black characters. It doesn't matter if they do well or not. It doesn't matter if they sell books. Oh, that's dumb, right? Fight for the characters that people want, that are popular, that deserve it, right? And that's John Stewart and Cyborg for sure, right? It's like, yeah, man, like what the heck's going on? Why don't they have their movies? We got a Hal Jordan
Well,
movie, and it was garbage. I mean, it's
Well,
still
we're getting
what we're getting now, but it's like, but we still don't have a John Stewart movie, a standalone John Stewart movie with a. I mean, they at least did it in animation, and it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad, but I think it could have done better. Um, shout out to John Semper, a great writer. He wrote Spider Man, so he
oh, okay.
wrote that Green Lantern movie. But it's like we want more than that. Like make a live action John Stewart movie. Why don't we do? I mean, you could just do a Green Lantern movie, but just make sure you have John Stewart in there as a prominent character.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
you understand
we're
that?
getting that
It's like,
now,
what are
but
we doing? Like, it doesn't
it
make any
kind of
sense.
look. It doesn't look like. It doesn't. I mean, we're getting it now, but it doesn't look like a Green Lantern movie. It just looks like a
Well, it's a
generic
series.
time.
It's a
It's a
streaming series.
series. Oh, I thought it was a movie.
No, I think it's a series. That's what I'm saying. And it looks draft. It doesn't look good at all.
Green
So,
Lantern
I,
movie.
I don't,
I'm pretty sure it's a movie. I mean, either way, yeah, it looks.
I don't think it's a movie. I think it's a series. I think it's going to be a streaming series. I don't think
Well,
it's
that. Well, now. Well, now I
yeah,
really don't care.
yeah, that's
Now
what
I
I'm saying.
care even less.
And it doesn't. It's not impressive. And
Oh man.
it's, like I said, no cyborg. We should get a cyborg. Like, so to me, that's what's annoying to me. It's like if you want to complain about black characters not getting their shine, you know, start talking about those
Um,
characters, and why they're ignoring them, but then they're race swapping other characters, right? They're race swapping other characters to be black or black and female or gay and white or what. Let's say, why are you race swapping here when you already have this here, right? Why are you talking about a black Superman movie when you have Icon? Like, what are we doing? You have Blue Marvel. Like, you understand? It's so retarded, man. Like, it's really
no,
frustrating.
Superman specifically has to be black.
Yeah, it's just so dumb. It's like, come on, you know. It's like, stop it with it, you know. So yeah, but they don't say anything about that. They just want to sit there and you know posture about DC being too white. It's like, who cares? I don't care if DC is too white. Like, what is too white? I mean, it's just like you said. Like, if you were to reverse it, it would be racist, right? It's so nonsensical, man. I don't know. People are clown logic. So, but but yeah, I don't know. But that's my gripe is make a cyborg movie or a cyborg series. I mean, that'd be cool. But I'd rather see a movie. John Stewart too. I mean, they deserve it. These characters, they've been around for years now. Like, the hell are they doing? Right?
Yeah.
It's disrespectful at this point. That's how I see it. And it's like instead of complaining about being disrespected, they want to complain about that the books aren't selling because they're not good books. That's number one. They're not good books. That's why they don't sell. Stop demanding they make more bad books that don't sell. That makes no
Mhm.
sense. Tell them to write better stories. How about that? Right? Give us better Static Shock stories. Right? Give us better John Stewart stories. I don't know. That's my rant. It's just I don't know, just so silly like, stuff that I see on the interwebs. It's like this is unreal. But I guess whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I don't have anything else. So, do you?
I mean, I did, but it's already been like 2 hours, so I think
Oh, I know. I went by fast. Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
uh, I
Well,
think what I had deserved its own video because
okay.
it's pretty interesting. I found it's it's like a newsletter from DC Comics from like back in the 50s,
Yeah.
and it's pretty cool, but it's mainly about uh, recommending comic book readers actual books to read, and that kind of plays into the whole thing about uh, I don't know what I would call it, circular storytelling or whatever. But let me pull it up real quick. Let me see. There we go. So yeah, Superman says. So this is
Oh,
a
yeah. Remember you shared this one. Yeah.
yeah. So this is like one of those newsletter things that you find in comic books, and this is the writers trying to recommend books to kids. In the many thousands of letters received during the big Superman contest, it's evident that our readers telling us what they would do if they have the powers of Superman. Realize the importance of agile, quick thinking mind as well as physical perfection. It is only through this combination that boys and girls of America can grow up into sturdy, upstanding American citizens. One of the important means of cultivating your mind so that you have the keen mental powers so necessary is to read good books. And then they go on to recommend a bunch of books. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't. I love how the first, right in the top five, is Don Quixote.
Nice. That's one of
Salamanca.
your favorite books.
And then Swiss Family Robinson, which I've read.
That's a
And
good book.
Alice in Wonderland, which I haven't read. I've only seen the Disney movie. And I read Moby Dick. I've
Yeah.
read.
Anne of Green Gables, I read that. Robin Hood, I've read that.
I don't have Tom Sawyer. I've read because I see Mark Twain right here. That's why I was. And I haven't read most of these other books.
So,
But yeah,
I read that. That's good.
it's
A lot of
funny.
the books
Oh,
there,
I've read
yeah,
Little Men. I've read
Gulliver's
Little Men.
Travels, Pinocchio. I've read
Oh,
all
there
that.
it is. Tom Sawyer. Pollyanna. There we go. Yeah. But Oliver Twist. So I wanted to bring this up because a lot of modern writers, their only reference um, is just other cartoons that they grew up with, and so they're
Yeah,
writing stories, and they're not
yeah,
really the reason why the stories are so, I guess, they don't stick with audiences that they're not really tapping into anything greater than just what people already grew up with, right? They're not tapping into a lot of the great foundations and ideas and philosophies found in literature, like Moby Dick
yeah.
and
Because they're universal concepts, or universal human concepts and experiences that they fail to tap into because they're looking at more contemporary inspiration.
well,
And
it's not even just well, yeah, it's true. It is true. Well, it's not even just that it's temporary. It's that
no,
it's like a
contemporary. They're looking at what's around them right now. But it's like you were saying, this circular dynamic that's happening. It's like, well, yeah, I liked this thing from 5 years ago, so it's going to inspire my thing now. And there's a dozen other writers doing the same thing for that thing.
well, it's not
It's
even
all
just well, you're right.
it's
That is true.
derivative and similar to each other with very little deviation. And then on top of that, you have the political dynamic and the virtue signaling that gets poured in when it comes to, at least when it comes to TV and movies, right? But even novels and obviously comics, it's been happening. So you have that other layer, the DEI layer of you have to check these boxes. So now we're really getting very derivative and subpar stuff because it's this bubble that everyone's kind of floating
Yeah.
around it. They can't breach it to go back to these books and these inspirations.
Right.
They're not looking at it. And if they are looking at something like with the Odyssey, it's funny you bring this up because the story that he's basing it on is a reimagining of the Odyssey. So it's not the Odyssey proper, right? It's a woman who rewrote it using a contemporary perspective and worldview.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I forgot her name, but it's her book, her version of the Odyssey that he's building this movie on, right? Nolan is, right? Christopher Nolan. So you understand? So that kind of explains some of the things that we've been seeing, where it's like that's off
I
or
mean,
out of
that's
I feel like
a
he's trying to interpret it from this contemporary perspective rather than from the classic tale
Yeah,
itself.
that sounds stupid, but the point I was trying to make was was that
There's no argument here.
just
So,
as an example, right? One of my favorite movie directors is Stephen Chow, right? And like as a creative, you know, writing a movie about Chinese martial arts and stuff like that, I'm not just gonna watch a bunch of Stephen King movies and just copy that. I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, well, what inspired? I said
yes.
Stephen King. I meant Stephen Chow. I'm gonna ask what
So,
movies did Stephen Chow grow up watching?
right.
What books did he read? Right?
What
Oh, Legend of the
inspired him?
Condor Heroes. Oh, what inspired this? What inspired this thing in Kung Fu Hustle? Oh, it was a movie called House of 72 Tens. Oh, that's where he got the landlady from. Oh, the Axe Gang were a real place. Oh, there was a TV show that he grew up with called The Bun. You know what I'm saying? It's like there are things that inspired him that I could
Yes,
take a look at now and be like, oh, okay, this is the source, right? This isn't. This is like a deeper thing, and then I
exactly.
could get inspiration. I could look at what inspired him and
But
maybe
not only
gain
that,
some new insight for myself and see
yeah,
something that
you
maybe
can
he
be
didn't see.
inspired by something completely different from the same source.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right, and that's the beauty of that. And that's why I think, and I think a lot of people, especially young people, are realizing this, and they're going back, they're going to retro, and you know,
Oh yeah, not
and
just with
hopefully
movies, but in books,
they'll,
but also video
yeah,
games and stuff like that.
and
Yeah.
they'll keep going. They'll keep go back far enough where they'll start tapping into these kind of books and even more so, and maybe we'll start to see a resurgence of richer storytelling and in all these different mediums. So
I mean, even the Looney Tunes animators. I remember watching, and I'll end it here. But even like I remember watching an interview with the Looney Tunes animators, and they were like, "Yeah, I mean, most of our inspiration comes from reading books and watching old movies and stuff like that. Like, it's not enough to just watch other cartoons. You gotta like go to
yeah,
like
right.
watch films and listen to
Yeah,
music and read
because
books.
if you watch a classic, Looney Tunes cartoon, you'll see so much reference to these
Yeah,
classic film movies from a decade, maybe 2 decades before.
hmm
You're going to see like, oh, that's why there's a lot of vaudeville references and things like that. Because that was something they were looking at and being inspired by. Even as offensive as it might be or controversial, they were looking at minstrel shows as well. You know, and that's what drove a lot of the character designs and some of their actions. You know, it is what it is. Where they created some of the greatest cartoons ever made, right? So, you know, yeah, it, that's very true. Very good point. You know,
So I would bring it up just because it's like if you're a creative, like there's nothing wrong with being inspired by like shows from your childhood, but also look at like well what inspired those shows from your childhood, like and
yeah,
dig deeper because you'll end up finding something either a book or a movie that you really like,
it's
and
true. I agree
that'll
with that.
inspire you even more. But especially books, especially
Yeah,
books.
especially books. Yeah,
Like I'm
for
trying to
sure.
get back into reading myself, and
Yeah,
uh,
read regularly and more. Yeah, yeah.
there's a couple of books that I bought about uh, there are some Western themed books that I bought that I need to start reading. So 'cause I'm
Yeah,
a big
I
book
got
person.
books. I start them and then I don't finish them. Then I come back months later. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got so many books. But yeah, you're right. Reading is fundamental, kids. Make sure you do it. But all right.
It'll make you a better writer. That's the important part.
Yeah, I agree. It will. But yeah, you guys, thanks for hanging with us and thanks for checking us out. Appreciate your time and your support. Go to our website, supergalacticfantastic.com, and sign up to our email list if you haven't done it yet and get a free 12-page digital comic. And we got some things in the works going to be coming out hopefully this year. It's been a rough year. Things are way more pricey than it used to be. But we're just pushing ahead and we're trying to finish our stuff and get it done. So we got some pages in the works and everything. So thanks for your patience and your support. And have a super galactic Saturday.
We'll see you around.